I'm just telling you right now, if you ask me what D1 exotic I want to see in D2, I will leave the call before it's uploaded. And then you will have to work with my crappy footage.
When you look back on it, do you feel like you hit the lottery with Destiny?
I hit the lotto, for sure. My life was not supposed to end up this well.
Wow.
In general. Since the beginning, this community, the creator community, has always been collaborative. People are willing to help each other out, and that's something that I don't think exists nearly as much in basically every other gaming community.
Did you ever have people from Bungie reach out to you about these two situations in any capacity and be like, we really fucked up with the Terrabah thing? And
let's just say there's a reason that the next raid exotic was Divinity, and it was a quest and not a drop.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another one-on-one conversation with a fellow Destiny 2 content creator. My name is Sax, and today I have the privilege to chat with a man who truly needs no introduction. However, that's simply not how we roll around here. For more than a decade, he's been one of the defining voices in Destiny content creation, with exotic guides, raid breakdowns, critical analysis, opinion pieces, and providing the occasional elitist take whenever necessary. If you play Destiny, you've watched his videos. If you've watched his videos, you've likely walked away a better player because of it. Datto, thank you for coming on the show, man. How are you doing?
Quite the
today?
introduction, man. That's. I haven't got an intro like that in a minute.
There you go.
I appreciate it.
It's the least I can do, man. It's the least I can do. One superpower I've had with getting the show off the ground is I'm a bit shameless. So like I'm like, oh, that seems like a cool idea for a show, and I'll shoot it out there. And I'll be honest, it was a what the moment when I saw it come through, and I appreciate you saying, yeah, let's do it, and stuff.
I try to say yes to as many things as I reasonably can with, at least nowadays with a wide range of creators. If I got the time, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, let's just do it.
It's all flexible, and of course our original conversation was before anything exploded, so we're going to get into all of that today. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way, and then we'll go for it. Right into it. So guys, as always, thank you for hanging out here on the Sax Talks Games channel. Whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a positive review, subscribing, doing all the things so you don't miss a single episode. Working really hard to just push into this, especially in these uncertain times for the Destiny side of things. So, well, real quick, for any of our listeners that might not be aware, somehow, some way, if you've landed on this but you're not aware, on Thursday, May 21st, Bungie announced their plans to end live service development of Destiny 2. It's coming to an end following the Monument of Triumph update. It's also been reported that there is no Destiny game in active development at Bungie at this time, which will mean for the first time since late 2000s, 2010, there's no new Destiny content in the pipeline. Of course, everyone's been sharing their reaction to the news, but few have had to process it as publicly as you had. And so I'd be remiss if we don't start our conversation today where it inevitably ends, where everything goes.
For sure.
How are you processing the news a little less than a week after this announcement?
I think I've been okay. Obviously day of was very emotional, and I think a lot of people knew that probably sometime in the next year or two that things were going to stop if, things didn't get any better.
Yeah.
So it was a little surprising to see it just, it's like, oh, it's here. Cause throughout the game's life, I've had a little bit of insight as to like what's coming next, whether it's 3 months out, 6 months out, cause I go to these events and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But this is like the first time in a while that I just talked with no one inside Bungie at all. No, I wasn't reaching out because I knew it was kind of a weird time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. But I have kind of been like both mentally preparing and content-wise preparing for the end of Destiny or a transition out of Destiny. I've been with the game for its entire life, and I was basically planning on sticking with it for its entire life, but I've been sort of 1 foot out the door, especially the past few months. I went to Korea for a month, and then I just kind of been home grinding some other games and trying to reach out with some other people. So I think I've been handling it pretty well because mentally I have been in a no Destiny space for like the past few months. And then even over the past year or two, I've been uploading variety content to a different channel. I've fell in love with Deadlock. So my mind has been in other places. It hasn't been just purely Destiny. So that's why I think I've been, the day, like, ever since, like, I guess the 22nd onward, I feel like I've been a little more okay and, like, taking the news a little bit better than other people have been taking it. So
yeah, there's been some generational crash outs in front of everyone, understandably, and I think it just kind of, I don't know, man, it just shows like how special a game like Destiny is, right? And what it was and what it has been for everyone. I loved Bife's video when he was talking about it being like a third space for a lot of people, especially during COVID, right? Like when we all lost that and got kind of pulled out of that. So the concept that stood out to me in your immediate reaction, and I guess maybe you could speak to the emotions of it, do you think it was just because of how sudden like the news was and like having to process like, oh, like this reality or this truth that I have known in the back of my head, like you just have to at least admit that it's here?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, my audience knows that I'm not really that emotional of a person. Like, my emotional bandwidth is like this, right? Like, I don't have the floor is very high, but the ceiling's incredibly low. I'm just in this band. And so for me to get emotional about something to the point that I'm crying is like, that is a substantial life event.
That's
like,
crazy.
You ask my wife, I don't cry very often about a lot of things. It's usually the most extreme things. So I even surprised myself. I was just reading it, and then it just kind of hit me. Yeah, it's been a third of my entire life. It's been my basically my entire professional life after college, right? It's all I've known. And even though, like, you tell yourself, I've been telling myself like the past year, like, you're mentally entering a place where you are probably going to transition out of this game to something else, and that's okay. But it's a lot different when the news is actually staring you in the face. Like, you think you're ready.
Yeah.
You're just not ready until it's staring you in the face. And then you're like, oh, it's actually so much worse than I thought it was going to be. So yeah. And again, like, and I thought I've been taking it okay. There's some other people out there who have been taking it much, much worse than I have.
I liked how you put it, though, because I think a lot of us have felt this way, the teetering concept. You said that explicitly, and for anyone who doesn't understand what that means, it's just like, I imagine it as like holding up a plate on a finger or something of that. So like, that's what immediately comes to mind, or something, it's just like, it's right there and you're trying to just balance it. Like, you're moving to it instead of having like a steady base. And I guess I wonder with that closure, having the feeling of, or I guess having more of a feeling of closure than some others, because you've been on your way out the door, is there some, as weird as it may sound, is there some feeling of relief?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's relief because I didn't have to make a decision and then have to think back on it to be like, oh no, did I make a bad call? Did this not go the way that I was hoping? So there's a relief in that, like, my hand is forced. I mean, like, the game's not like, they're not like turning off the servers or anything, but after I run out of things that I want to discuss, how much more enthusiasm am I going to have for Destiny content creation? Probably not that much, right? So there's a relief there. There's a relief in that, like, on the teetering example, you're on the edge of a cliff and you're just like, I need someone to pull me back up or I need to fall over, but one of the two needs to happen. And now one of the two has actually happened, and now I can at least make more informed life decisions, knowing that, like, this is what's happening, and now I can move on with, this whatever I have to do, versus, continuing to have to plan my entire life around the game or whatever's happening. So there's relief. It's like the fog of war has cleared,
Sure.
It's like I'm playing Civ 6 and we just researched satellites, and now the whole world, I can see the whole world again. And in that sense, there is relief in that I know what's happening and I can now try to plan accordingly.
Yeah, because I think You hear it all the time, but like there's fear in the unknown, right? Like it's like I don't know. And this is all of what I want to get into today, but I don't know what it would look like to start over, like the concept of like starting a new channel or
I can tell you it's horrifying. I can just tell you right now, it's horrifying, terrifying, every kind of fying.
Yeah. Well, I guess my thought though is like with that clearing, like you said, the clearing of the fog, so to speak, being able to understand like what you have at your disposal, right? Like it is nice, I guess, that they're not immediately. It's not like we're getting an Anthem shutdown where like there's no servers on.
Right.
There's no, we can get in there. You can still do the occasional raid video if you needed to or whatever, and like people are gonna watch. If something goes up on this channel.
For what it's worth, like, do I plan on playing any Destiny? After I'm done in like August, September for like a little while? Probably not. Do I plan on like maybe hopping on twice a year and asking the buds to like do a few raids here and there? Yeah, of course. Like I'm gonna miss doing some raids with the buds. That stuff's really fun. But yeah, no, as in terms of content, once like that, I'm gonna put out my final videos and I'm just gonna be like, that's it. I'm gonna leave the channel as it is, and I'm gonna do my stuff in other places.
Well, let's do this now. So we got that a little at the end. We went to the end. I want to rewind the clock. Sure. So the whole point, and when I reached out and said, hey, I want to have this conversation, was I like to have conversations with different creators on like, hey, you're much further down the line. What have you taken away from it? I found that some people really enjoy, even for themselves, their own benefit, like the retrospective side of thing. And you're very familiar with the retrospective. You have a ton of them.
I've done 3 of them. Yeah,
which sort of makes preparing for something like this very easy on my part. So thank you very much for doing that, because all I have to do is go work out and I can listen to it like it's a podcast and be like
1.5 and just listen.
Yeah, dude. So that was very nice. But let me ask you this. Usually I ask, like, for anyone who's not familiar with your content, can you give listeners a quick breakdown of who you are in the content you create?
So I was primarily a PvE content creator for Destiny. I went over, all the PvE stuff in the game. The best how to get the best weapons, what are the best weapon rolls and stats and this and that, how to get exotics, the exotic quests. When raids came out, I did raid guides. That was the thing I was the most excited about, because I used to watch World of Warcraft raid guides on like Icy Veins. I don't know if Icy Veins is still a thing anymore.
I don't know,
but I used to watch, I think it was Icy Veins. I don't know. There's a couple people making raid guides, and I wanted to eventually do that for myself. So I did a very wide range of things. I did commentary, critique, stuff like that. Although that was like when Destiny 2 came out, is I became a bit more known for my commentaries as opposed to my guides, although I did both.
Sure.
So yeah, anything PvE, how to kill the boss, how to get the gun, how to do this, how to do that. What's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on that? Everything for the past 12 years. That's been me.
What's your actual history with video games? We're taking back even further than that. Like where'd you start? What is the origin story of that? And how'd you get acquainted finally with Bungie games? Because you did not play Halo, correct? That was not your origin?
0 Halo. Yeah. No, I mean, how far back are we going? 5 years old. I'm playing NES, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
I had a Sega Genesis. I love Sonic. I love playing Sonic. I love playing some Sonic Spinball back in the day. I remember my
parents didn't make you choose one of the paths, the Sega or the Nintendo path.
I kind of flip-flop. Like, okay. I think my uncle had the NES, and then I got a Sega Genesis for some sort of holiday. Had that for a while. Then my uncle got the N64 for me, and I freaked out.
Oh, yeah.
My parents got us a Dreamcast. I remember playing so much Crazy Taxi and Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. I'm writing like high scores on our unfinished basement wall. And then my friend circle, they all have, N64. We got GameCube. We got PlayStation 2. No one really had an Xbox. We didn't really. We were PlayStation heads. We didn't get into the Xbox world. So we're going to each other's houses in the basement, playing Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Smash. I'm playing Final Fantasy X, just playing some Blitzball. That's where my name comes from. And then they all start getting addicted to playing World of Warcraft, and I'm like, I don't know about this. That's all you guys talk about, World of Warcraft. I finally join up, and by the time I hit level 60, they have all quit, but I'm obsessed with World of Warcraft. It takes over my life until the day I graduated college, and then I quit cold turkey because I knew if I kept playing World of Warcraft, trying to become an adult, I would not become an adult. I would just become a man-child. And so after that, was playing a bunch of Call of Duty, not too much gaming because I was working in the television industry, and that's 12 to 14 hour days every day for a long time. You got no time to do anything else. And then I saw Destiny, and I was like, that game looks like it could replace my World of Warcraft addiction, but without having to invest nearly as much time into it. And when I was working in the television industry, you're usually on you're on for 2 months, you're off for 3 weeks, then you find a new job, you're on for 6 weeks, you're off for 2 weeks. And so in those in-between times, I was like, I need something for my brain to do. So if there's a time to try to make a YouTube channel happen, let's try it with this, because I had a Call of Duty channel, much like every other 20-year-old in 2012, 2011, whatever. No, 2010, 2009. It's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And that channel never really took off, but I had developed a lot of YouTube skills from that. So I was like, F it, let's try it. And now we're talking.
That's awesome. I feel like there's a little bit between there, but we've caught up. We've caught up pretty well. So let me ask you this. I mean, obviously you got in and said you're learning those skills, cutting your teeth on that original Call of Duty. How much of the benefit did your schooling and stuff you did in the actual TV industry, how much did that actually play over into the YouTube side? Is there much there? Zero.
Seto. Nothing. Zero. Nada. No, literally nothing. I mean, I switched my degree in college 5 times because I didn't know what I want to do. I went from physics to engineering to math to econ, and then finally media production.
Interesting.
And let me tell you, my school, not a media production school. I'm essentially self-taught. My friend and I liked doing little videos in college where we learn After Effects and this and that. So we did a lot of messing around junior year, senior year, just learning After Effects, Action Essentials 2, trying to figure out how to roto in an explosion behind a shelf or something like that. And so all my video editing stuff, I started video editing in junior high school. The very first video I ever did was a project for my health class where we stopped people in the middle of the road, flagged them down. We're 8th graders. What do you know about heart disease? Asking people in the middle. We got an A. And that was my first introduction to video editing, and I just fell in love with making videos and editing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm basically self-taught. I got to skip multiple classes in college because they're like, all of these things. So
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you got to where you needed to, and there's something very interesting about playing into the things that come natural to us sometimes, but also sometimes you almost have to take the talents and force them together. So it sounds like you were able to find that. Let me ask you this, jumping forward a little bit. Sure. Why or how did you move from because you were in LA for the TV stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? How did you move from there to Seattle? What prompted that change?
I didn't have any friends down there. All the friends that I had were through the television industry. And when you're working, you're around them all the time. So it's really easy to be friends with people because, as big as the industry is, it's actually quite small. I've hopped from show to show and started working again with people that I hadn't worked with in a while. I'd be like, oh, what's going on, man? But when, there's not a lot of hanging out after a day working in TV, right?
Yeah, 12 to 14 hours. It sounds like you guys are just crashing.
I'm going home. I'm going to bed. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you want to come over and play some Call of Duty? No, man, I'm going to bed. So if you don't maintain those relationships, it's really hard to stay friends, right? Especially if the other parties don't have the time or they just don't want to or whatever. Especially if you're not in the same industry. So eventually most of my friends kind of trickle out of my circle. I basically had one friend left who I would somewhat regularly hang out with watching football. And I was just very isolated. And it was affecting my mood quite a lot. I was getting much more frustrated, much more angry a lot quicker because I was just very isolated. I was by myself the overwhelming majority of my life, just in a studio apartment. So I talked with a couple people about being like, hey, we're making okay money. Do you guys you want to do something? And we also knew like one or two people already in Seattle. So we're like, let's go up there together. We can actually be real life friends instead of just internet friends. Can all get kind of a fresh start. So I moved my ass up there right before D2 came out, like 5-6 months before D2 came out.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess my timeline was off a little bit. I didn't realize that you were doing the majority of your D1 stuff in LA.
Yes.
And then move. Okay.
Essentially the entirety of D1. I don't know, like 90% of it was in Los Angeles.
Interesting. Yeah, that I guess my timelines were off there. I wasn't sure what that looked like, but that clears up kind of that. And I think there is something to that though. I think there's something to learn for people to be able to take away. It's like having the emotional intelligence to be like, hey, I am in a bad place. Why am I in this bad place? Being able to identify like for you is your environment, and then removing yourself from that, like whatever it took to do that. Because you're not originally from the West Coast, right? Like you moved.
I was basically as far away as you can get. I'm New York, so
gotcha. So so you've moved for this industry all the way across, and then you're, like you said, you're just kind of on an island there.
Yep.
So let me ask you this: so you saw Destiny, you're like, okay, I can replace this WoW addiction that I had, or this hole in my heart that I have with it. Did you just, I mean, what's that even look like? Is that just like researching online, finding stuff, and then just clicking upload on videos? And then you didn't have any connection with Bungie, anyone there?
Nope.
In the early days, right?
No. I saw it got announced in like February 2013. And it's easy to like start covering a game where there's like one piece of information out about it, because you're basically at the very beginning. I think a big part of why I became so successful is because I was there from the very start, and I was able to build a resume of videos a year before the game came out, and then people could show up when the game started to come out or come out in alpha beta and be like, oh, this guy's knows what he's talking about. He's been following the game for a year now. I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. But I tried to set myself up for success as much as possible. And I put out a everything we know about Destiny video 2 weeks before E3, because I had a feeling that they were gonna talk about something at E3, and as soon as they talk about it, I knew everybody likes Halo from Bungie, so people are gonna probably be looking up this game, and they're gonna want the most up to date information. So let me put out this video a couple weeks beforehand, get it live, get it into the feed and whatever, and then people see Destiny, they're gonna want to look up Destiny information. Boom, my video's right there.
When I was looking at some of your earliest videos, I thought it was super interesting how you were going through and like, what was it? I don't even know if there was like a full Vidoc out or whatever, but there were some times where they would like hold up a mobile phone, and then you would grab like you would like zoom in really tight to the mobile phone, like grab the icons from that and then display that, and then try to extrapolate whatever information from the icons.
I mean, back then is like, I know it's like 2013 is not exactly completely the Wild West, but like compared to now, it's basically the Wild West. You're going off of anything that you possibly can. Content creation and those kinds of videos are a lot more well refined nowadays. Sure. But at the time, you don't know what's important. You don't know what's not important. You don't know anything. So you just gotta throw everything out there and be like, this is this, and this could be this, and that's that, and blah blah blah. And so you just gotta toss out everything and see what sticks.
Yeah, you flashed up on one point, and I'll try to overlay this in the podcast so people can see it, because it's so funny looking at it now with like the core knowledge that yourself, myself, and like so many in the community have. But it was like of weapons just like splayed out, and you had labeled like one a pistol, one a shotgun, like they were very obvious, and then it was a fusion rifle, and you pointed out and said pistol question mark like on for a, which obviously we know now, but you had no like frame of reference for what it was back then, which is it was just like a time warp thing, and I was like, I don't know, it was very cool to kind of see that. You have a 1-year Q&A session video where you're just sitting there just like answering things from your audience, and I was listening to that. You stated, or someone asked you, was like, I think it was just something simple, like, why are you so much of a smaller channel compared to some of the other people? And how you answered it was basically, you're a smaller channel because if you search Destiny Online on YouTube or anywhere else, more console and Destiny updates took the highest SEO positions.
Yep.
Whereas you were being pushed into more like niche scenarios. Obviously, this is not the case now. And a simple search, I mean, I literally just went after I listened to it. It says, who's the biggest Destiny 2 streamer in the world? Instantly linked to you. How long did it take for your content to start breaking into what you would consider the mainstream? So out of those niche pockets and then actually showing up and ranking? I
would say probably around when like the alpha and the beta were coming out. Because we were starting to get some gameplay, and I was trying to separate myself from Destiny updates and more console, in like trying to be the MMO guy and have that more MMO perspective, because I know Destiny updates did a lot of news and more console did a lot of news, but I didn't know their gameplay experience, and I didn't know if they had a lot of MMO experience. So like, I was like, okay, I'll be the stats guy. I like stats. I like crunching numbers and all that kind of stuff, and I have a lot of MMO experience. So let me do that. And it was probably around the alpha and the beta where I started to be able to, play the game and make some content. And I remember Kotaku linked like in like a video of mine, and that kind of blew out. I think they got like 40,000 views in a couple days, which for me at the time was insane.
Sure.
But as we started to be able to play the game, that's when I think I was able to kind of separate myself. And I mean, it also helped that Destiny updates stopped making Destiny content the day the game came out. He just stopped. Yeah, just stopped.
I mean, I guess that's why I have never heard of. I knew More Console, like I knew the name.
Yeah, he's
More
been
Console
around,
or recognized,
and we're still very good friends.
Really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, we don't get to talk as much anymore, but like back in the Activision days, the early days, they would fly him out from Europe all the time. Sorry, UK. Sorry, Brexit. And it was a very small group of people at the time, and we became friends, and we still. It's been a while since he hit me up a little bit recently. But he's a good guy.
That's cool.
But most people have not heard of Destiny updates because he stopped basically when the game came out. I think he liked. Yeah, I'm sorry if you're watching and I'm getting this wrong. I think he liked the idea of like doing the news and like that kind of stuff a bit more than the actual like breakdown of the game. Could have that wrong. It's been about 12 years. So him dropping out enabled me to come up.
Yeah.
So that also
and
helped.
I think I'm sure there's probably, I mean, at that point you are kind of ahead, but I think that if we look at the history, right, the history of Destiny and your channel and everything that comes into it, I think there's something to that where it's part of the YouTube games, just like who can stay at it the longest, who can keep going, who can keep iterating, not getting down. Like, do you resonate with that?
Oh yeah, it's you're running your own business, right? You have to be willing to put in an insane amount of time into stuff like this to be able to grow, and it's even worse now because you gotta have shorts, you gotta be posting on every single different platform. Back then it was YouTube.
Yeah.
And streaming. That was about it, right? You didn't have to worry about YouTube shorts and TikTok and Instagram and all this other stuff. And even that was incredibly time consuming because these scripted videos take a very long time to produce. And so yeah, you have to be very, very diligent about your work. I've seen so many YouTubers come and go being like, oh, I got a bunch of ideas for videos. I could totally do YouTube. And they'll do like a bunch of videos and they'll be fine. And then they run out of ideas and they're like, what do I do? I'm like, what do you mean? You got to keep making videos forever. Otherwise you're done. And there's it's tough to be able to keep that rolling for a very, very long, like your heart's got to really be in it.
Speaking of that, I mean, there's so many points that are intertwining, but like speaking of heart being in it, like what was it like running your own business, being your own boss, and then in those times of like, I'm sure you felt it, you've talked about it publicly, but like those intense moments of burnout or just dissatisfaction with the game, and you haven't set up these alternate these other channels or alternate pathways of revenue. Like what was it like? Like what'd you learn about yourself when you had to push yourself beyond those feelings you were having?
I don't really think I actually experienced that much burnout early on in my career, because I was still very enthusiastic about content creation and Destiny. Like I still really loved it. It wasn't, I would say, until like the back half of Destiny where I was experiencing that burnout a lot more. And I'm in a fortunate position. I'm in a very privileged position that I'm able to be like, hey, I'm feeling really burnt out right now. If I don't take a little breather, I'm just going to hate this. So I have the luxury of being able to take a little breather to go play some other stuff for fun. But I didn't really start doing the other, I didn't think about doing the other channel stuff as seriously until very, very recently, as far as my entire career goes. But yeah, it's tough trying to deal with it because, you're still, it's not like you hate the thing. You're just tired, right? You're just incredibly tired. And I've hit those burnout moments more and more frequently as my career has gone on, because it's exhausting doing it for this long. Like not a lot of people last over a decade in content creation, right? Some people would kill to have a career half as long as mine. And, I'm not like, I didn't have like 10 million subs, billions of views or anything like that. But to still be able to have like a steady income for as long as I have is abnormal. And when you do it for that long, burnout is going to hit you a lot. Sure. And you need to be able to cope with that. You need to be able to figure out how to just deal with it in general. For me, that was just like push Destiny away for a little bit, give myself a breather, come back feeling refreshed. I mean, it's the same with like any job, right? Like eventually you're going to just be like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I need some space. And so recognizing that and giving yourself some boundaries is definitely incredibly important for that process.
Yeah. So let's talk now. So you're talking about kind of ramping up, being one of the leaders in the space, just because you were there earliest, in those early days, you were there earlier and making content and finding ways to continue doing that. Can we talk about the official release of D1 and what you felt when you played that full launch for the first time? Because I think you cited like kind of what you were talking about, you and more console and people like being able to go to Activision Play, and you're like, surely there's more than this, right?
That was the exact thing that I was going to bring up. Me and more console talking at the reveal event, or the event right before the game came out, being like, is this it? This is what it is? Yeah, it was something. That launch was something. It was so something that I thought my YouTube career was going to be over in 2 months. I thought the game was going to come out at this point and just kind of flop, and I would put out all the things that I had, and then I figured people were not going to care anymore. And by November, I would just go back to working in television and be like, well, we tried, and that's it. So yeah, it was something. They were very fortunate that their gunplay was as good as it was, and I think Vaulted Glass also really helped bump Destiny's I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
The gravitas. So
yeah.
It's just
that definitely helped to be like, oh, there is something here.
Yeah.
And we just need to let them find it in the sand somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, the launch was very, I was like, these guys, and everyone loves Halo, huh? They're like, these guys honestly made Halo and everybody loves Halo, and they came out with this, and I'm like, I'm not crazy for thinking this is kind of mid, right? And that was confirmed pretty quickly.
Yeah. many players, I remember myself included, I say often that there was only one place, it was the Best Buy in my town, that did a midnight release for physical, copies or whatever. Yep. Went, picked up Destiny 1, threw it in the PS4, had it going, and almost, or whatever console I was even on at the time, but bounced off like super quickly because I just realized, I was like, oh, that story was not the Halo that I had known before. And I was not like a huge Halo fanboy. I love Halo now more than I ever have, but at the time I didn't really feel that way. I got off of it. And then it's very similar to your WoW thing where you had friends that were super invested and they pulled you in, and then it's almost like you were like drifting on it, and then you just like slingshot around them, and then you just keep going. That's exactly what happened with Destiny for me. I went away for a couple years, came back right before Rise of Iron, picked up an Xbox, moved over. My cousin who had started playing with me in that base launch, he played forever. He stuck around till VOG. He was deleting his Titans and re-grinding every week, trying to push past. And but yeah, of course, I was going to ask, like, how important truly was that Vault of Glass, like, for you, that experience of just doing it, first iteration of day one rating, and how did it compare to, like, what you knew prior to launch?
I didn't know anything about the raid prior to launch. That has been one constant about all the stuff that I've ever done with Bungie. Every time I'm out there for some sort of a capture event, they're like, don't click on the raid. Do not enter the raid. Don't even hover the cursor over there.
Sure.
Don't touch it. So I knew nothing. I knew nothing going into it whatsoever about the raid, about any of it. But
had they talked about it though? I wasn't trying to suggest that you did.
Yeah, I think that they acknowledged that like something existed.
Okay.
But that's it. You know.
Yeah, to be clear, I was not trying to suggest that you knew what.
No.
That would be wild though. That would be wild.
No, we knew that something existed and that was it. But I remember like all of my friends being like, "This is going to be the easiest crap. Like we're stomping through the strikes right now, and the Nightfall's not even
starts
that hard,
in patrol. What are you talking about?
Blah, blah, blah. And then that thing took like 12 hours. And it at the time was more impressive than I think people were anticipating. So I think that did them a very great service, because if Vault of Glass was not very good, I don't know how much more Destiny we're getting.
Yeah, might not be here to talk today. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit. It's simple to kind of sort a YouTube channel. Like you can go to a YouTube channel, sort what's most popular and see. However, on a channel like yours that's been around for so long, it can be a little skewed because things come in or whatever. So it's hard to understand like what the actual videos that had the biggest impact on a channel are, if that makes sense. Like what are the videos that come to mind? Like you hit upload, and maybe it's, I don't know what time, but like hit upload, go to bed, wake up, and you're like, holy crap. Like what is happening here?
The first one that I can really remember making that level of impact was probably Touch of Malice, how to get Touch of Malice back in Taken King, because you weren't supposed to be able to get it as early as some people were able to get it. And I remember being up super late and seeing someone in my fire team saw on Reddit that like you could trade over this rune in your inventory to other characters to be able to do it multiple times per day when it was only supposed to be a once per day thing.
Wow.
And we were far enough along that I think we only needed 2 more charges, so we traded it over to our other characters, and that was able to trigger the next step of the quest. We're up to like 3 a.m. doing it. I'm up till 7 in the morning doing the video. I literally post the video and I go crash. I wake up a few hours later, that thing's almost at 200,000 views, which for me at the time, like that's an insane day one video for me. And that's the first one that I really remember being like, whoa, okay. Taken King did a lot of good for me. It was one of my highest video view months all time, if not the highest.
Wow.
Probably biggest burst of subs I've ever gotten in a 1 month span. We had a sequence of videos that would eventually go on. I think it was like 8 or 9 videos in a row that would eventually go on to hit all over 1 million views each.
Wow.
Which again, for me, that's crazy. So yeah, Taken King was a very big deal for you, boy.
I think it talks or I think it speaks to the width of the audience at that point, right? Because it feels like now, like when you post a Destiny video, it is such a small like pool of people who are even going to possibly want to watch this, right? Like in the last year in time for like when I've been posting, and so like me having videos going like 85, 90K, I'm like, hell yeah, you know, like I feel really good about that for, you know, a channel with under 20,000 subs, you know, on my main channel. And I'm like, that feels great. But then even hearing like going to bed, waking up 200K, I think that really speaks to the interest in what Bungie was doing. And I know like a lot of people like to think that everything just has to do with content creators. And like you know, I was like, oh, well, the game's made for content creators to do. And like, you hear that all the time. Yeah, hear that true. All the time. But the truth is, like, you can kind of like, you know, we have a lot of API access, but you can kind of track the popularity of a game by just like looking at people like yourself. You could look at your channel and just see, hey, this exotic guide you posted here is probably not even as good, like empirically not as good as the quality of this guy that you've created, because you're going to get better over time. But if you look at the Touch of Malice, I think when I looked, it's like over 6 million views.
I was just pulling it up to see like where my most popular videos lied, and I'm pretty sure like there's definitely a couple that up here that are from Taken King. Like Touch of Malice is my number one with 6.2. You have the Calcified Fragments that are both 5 mil combined. We got Exotic Sword, that was a little bit later. No, it was around the same time. Never mind. Yeah, Exotic Sword is 5 mil around the same time. So yeah, there's a lot of Taken King early stuff that was
And what was the lift on those videos for you?
How's
like,
what?
What was the lift on that? Like, how hard was it actually to create those videos for you?
Not that. I mean, most of the effort is spent in game doing the quests.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there were some things where you're like, wait, especially in Taken King, where there was like a bazillion different post-game quests. We were like,
sure.
Does this link with this? And like, it's a lot of backtracking to like try to do the math of like, was this thing part of this that triggered that thing?
Yeah.
But then in terms of like putting together, you know, like an exotic guide, that's not really that hard. You're painting by numbers at that point. It's like you have all the quest steps, you just need to write it and then put it in the timeline, and that's it. So the hard part is like doing all of it quickly, and then being able to explain it in a way that literally every single person who watches the video will be able to understand.
I like that. So do you find yourself when you're writing your scripts and stuff, have you had to work that through at all? Like just like vocabulary, like what you're doing. You hear a lot like if you ever get on and you're listening to like YouTube tips, guru guys, whatever, like sometimes that stuff's complete bullshit. But then sometimes like there is some good stuff in there and be like, I analyzed the script from the top whatever videos. And then they like put in the transcripts and see what reading level like some of these videos are. And I catch myself too in my scripts, even like where I'm using language that I may use when I would be presenting some, you know, like in a presentation site, and I'm like, okay, I actually need to dumb it down. Sounds bad, but like that's kind of where it is, just to make sure, kind of what you're saying. Especially now that YouTube is transcribing everything across all these languages. It's like, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I will have people post comments in all sorts of different languages, you know, in translating and doing that. So
yeah, no, I absolutely had to. I mean, I got that lesson real early in that clarity of language is very important thing, whether it's commentary, guides, explaining how to do something, whatever. You have to assume that like everyone watching your video is 7 years old. Like you just have to, because there are some people who are, when it's a commentary, they're going to misconstrue your words and they're going to interpret them in a way that you didn't want them to interpret it to. Or someone's going to take, you know, like a piece of information from a guide and be like, I don't know, like, what do I do with it? I don't know how this works. And you have to explain every single step very elaborately so that everyone understands what's going on. Even like showing the map, right? Being like, you can't just be like, okay, so you go here, because half the people who are going to watch the video are going to be like, where is here? Because you as a player who played a lot, it's like, yeah, we're standing in like the freaking middle of Mars right now, grabbing some relic iron. Of course I know where this is. Sure. Not everyone does. So you have to be like, we're here on the map. Here's my icon. Here's an arrow pointing to my icon. Go here. And then time-lapsing the entire path that I take to like another place because they're like, I don't know how to get there. What do you mean just go there? So I learned those lessons very early on to be like, show literally every single thing that you can, because there are going to be some people out there who just don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's being considerate also of like your audience, and maybe that's something that you would have happen a little more like as the audience like balloons, right? Like I feel like a smaller audience, you're probably going to reach people. I mean, whatever mentality you have for like, hey, this is who this is for. It benefits YouTube to find the right people to watch your videos, right? Like, you know, who you're making it for and doing that. But as it balloons up, right, like you're going to have such a larger like pool of people.
You know, some of these guys doing like solo raid bosses and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, the audience that they're attracting are the hardest of hardcore, or maybe like the noobest of noob, just trying to like look at something impressive. So they can use a different style of language, and they can assume that you know certain bits of information if you're seeking this kind of content out. As more of a jack of all trades kind of guy, everyone in that umbrella, the most hardcore of hardcore to the noobest of noob, I gotta make sure everyone in between here can understand everything that I'm saying.
So let me ask this. So I actually had specifically the Touch of Malice video pulled up leading in. So I'm going back to that video. What do you remember? I couldn't quite tell, like sorting through, doing whatever. I couldn't quite tell how many pure, like raw exotic videos you had done, like exotic guides of that sort up to that time. But seeing the success of it, obviously the longevity, what it's done at this point and how impactful it was. What did you take away from like creating a video like that? And to put it more plainly, how important is it to be first rather than just being completely right in Destiny? Like how much has it been?
I think it's just generally speaking on YouTube, it's way better viewership wise to be first than it is to be right. I mean, that just kind of applies to a lot of things because people want to know the information first.
Sure.
So you could put out something that is incorrect, but like viewership wise, you're still going to have a bunch of people searching for it. Obviously you want to be both. You want to try to be both. I try to be both. You know, I only put things out when I'm 100% confident in the things that I'm putting out there to be correct, right? I will have some things peer reviewed. But it is actually something that has kind of been ruining the game for me over the past couple of years, is because there's such an intensity and such a fervor to be the first person to put out a thing on a thing so that you get all the viewership. People just race through the game as fast as possible. And it's like there's no enjoyment of the game anymore. It's just racing through it to see what exotic quest you're going to find along the way so that you can put out a video first on that exotic quest to get a bunch of views. And that, for me, was like killing the vibe pretty friggin' hard over the past couple of years for me, because I'm like, day one, it's also day one for me, man. Like, I also am playing this as just a regular enjoyer of the game. So I've told people, like, day one, I'm chilling. I want to enjoy this. I don't want to just race through it and not, like, savor this thing that they've been working on, because I like this game, too. I'm not just here making videos, exclusively just making videos, and, like, I'm here against my will. I like this shit. I want to enjoy it. So, yeah, that has kind of ruined the vibe for a lot of day one stuff for me. Is like, I have to balance it between enjoying all the things and having a good time with my friends and streaming and all this and that, versus like, okay, well, I'm going to be one of the last people to finish the campaign, which means I'm going to be one of the last people to put up this exotic guide, and then people are not going to watch my exotic guide. So then do I even bother putting up an exotic guide because everyone else is going to watch it in other places first? So just, it's really important to be first. That's why. And if you've ever watched a video where someone was trying to be first and they had incorrect information, it's because they were trying to be first.
Yeah.
That's it. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes you get something wrong. And then everybody gets mad, but then everybody forgets by the next day, and it's a new arms race.
Yeah. he's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, but my boy Scarrow, he's classic for that because he's usually at the forefront, like with those community events and things like that. But then it's always like, check the pinned comment. And it's just the longest pinned comment you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because it's a like developing, it's almost like a developing news story type thing, but there's no way to go back in.
You only get one chance. Yeah. You can't go back into the video and edit it. Because if you could, everyone would be putting out much sloppier work and then just fixing it later. And so I guess in that way it is kind of good. You get one shot to like try to upload your strongest thing, and you got to hope that you're right. You shouldn't have to hope that you're right. You should just be right. But
that's true. So something that just came to mind in this realm here. So we're talking through the frame of exotic videos. A little later on, I want to talk a little bit about day one rating.
Okay.
But what has that soured anything when it comes to like raid guides and things of that sort too? Because I think historically I would have assumed maybe when it felt like the field was a little more open, I'm thinking like Deep Stone times, like when it felt like it was tangible, like everyone could go through, and get the guides. But then I'm starting to see a lot of guides go up while you're still in the fight. You're still in the mix of it because people are watching. It's kind of the same concept as the scouting, right? Like that was happening and going through and people watching and trying to do that. Like how has that changed at all for you, or have you continued to see success with all the raid guides?
I mean, I don't think my raid guides are the most successful in the form of like viewership versus other people who, maybe they sit out the day one race and they just kind of glean information from streams and stuff. But the raid guide is something that I've never compromised on. I know that I'm not going to be first, so I would rather make sure that I'm doing as good of a job as possible, so that way when it does come out, it is reliable, it is complete. I'm not going to have to go back and like be like, oh, I messed this up, I messed that up. That is something that I didn't care about being first. That is one thing that I absolutely cared about, being right more than being first, because if I'm going to be known as raid guide guy, brother, I got to lock in. Yeah, those have to be correct. They have to be right. And I know that people will eventually watch them, and I still get comments to this day about like, oh, you taught me and my friends all the raids back in D1 and blah blah blah. So yeah, that is one place where I know I'm not gonna be first, so I sure shit gotta be right.
That's good. Yeah, I like that take on it, because I do think it's interesting. Like, I know for me, like getting in, feeling the oppressiveness of like what day one Salvation's Edge was, I just kind of had chosen our raid team had been like, yeah, this isn't for us anymore. Like if this is the direction everything's going, SEDP and stuff of that sort. And I'm like, there was a part of me that was like, okay, maybe I could do this. But at the same time, in my mind, it's probably whatever. It doesn't matter. But I was just like, it feels wrong, like to take away from the people that are actually fighting for the knowledge, like to extract that from it. But to each their own, to get in there and I like that.
The way you gotta look at it is like a lot of the time, if it's not you, it's gonna be somebody else.
That's fair.
Someone else is gonna do it.
That's very fair. Okay, so let's talk briefly here about like growing through one game, and then I want to kind of get into what you were talking about earlier with some of the other channel stuff. So when you look back on it, do you feel like you hit the lottery with Destiny, or do you feel like you could have found success with like any game if you worked hard enough?
No, I hit the lotto for sure. My life was not supposed to end up this well.
Wow.
In general, just the way I pictured things going when I first graduated college and moved out to LA. Sure. I have surpassed everything that I ever thought I would become in life. So like, wow. Yeah, I hit the lotto. I was in the right place at the right time with the right game, with the right kind of content, with the right kind of mentality and experience to make something like that happen. And fortunately, the game was able to stick around for as long as it was. So yeah, I think I could have done it in another game? Maybe. I don't know what that game would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe if like live streaming and stuff like that was a thing when I was playing WoW, like a little degenerate when I was 15, 16, 17 years old in high school, I think I could have made it in World of Warcraft. I think I could have done something there. But that was before Twitch, right? That was when I was in college. Twitch came out. YouTube was out, what, 2006, 2005, something like that, 2004? When
I'm not sure when
YouTube come out. 2005. Okay.
Yeah,
so like I'm on the verge of graduating high school by the time YouTube comes out. So like none of that stuff was a thing when I was a degenerate WoW player. So yeah, if it wasn't Destiny, like if Destiny didn't come out, we wouldn't be talking. I'd still hopefully be working in the television industry. Hopefully I'd be an editor by now. But no, right place, right time, right everything, and it worked.
One story that stood out, I didn't have anywhere natural to put this, but I thought it was hilarious, so I wanted to say it. One story that you shared was about your D1 King's Fall challenge video. You mentioned something along the lines of it being too easy. And this actually goes back to a little bit to what you were saying earlier about like how you phrase things, how you get misconstrued. However, the exact quote you gave in the retrospective video is most people are not looking for a ball-crushingly hard PvE experience.
Yeah.
Which I thought that phrase was very funny, but I wanted to ask, like, what did early scenarios like this teach you about your
how
audience?
Casual everybody is?
Yes, and then how did it directly spawn? It was almost like there was a split inside, and then we have Elitist Datto that now graces us from every now and then.
Yeah, no, it was a little eye opening. Like I got a hint very early on that this was going to be a bit more of a casual community than I was used to in something like World of Warcraft, which was a lot more intense. People a lot more intense in that game. I mean, I still stand by what I said in that King's Fall challenge mode video about War Priest. That thing sucked ass. Nice challenge. Wow, crazy. But I still was like, this is the kind of person that I am. This is the kind of content that I like to do. I like to be challenged. And if you can't do it, tough noogies, right? Obviously, that has lessened over time a bit, and then it came swinging back up with something like Salvation's Edge and like Desert Perpetual and the contest raid and Epic Desert. But I had been getting hints of things, and I knew I was going to be the villain sometimes with how difficult things were and like how I liked difficulty, and I always wanted to be challenged and all that kind of stuff. But that's just me. That's just who I am as a player of video games. I like to be challenged in a certain way. I don't want it to be too hard that it's just like not fun anymore. I don't want it to be too easy. That's just how I felt about it. And if you were on my page, great. If you're on my side, great. If you weren't, then like, okay, you probably yelled at me. But I was also a much more intense gamer back then compared to now. At least on Destiny specifically. So
it feels like over time sometimes, like you almost like mild out a little bit and just like, okay. Like,
I'm 36. I'm not getting better at video games. I'm lucky enough to have even been just staying neutral this whole time. Like, I'm not getting any better. But at the same time, I still like a challenging experience, right? I still like to prove myself. So
okay, so let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about some other games, like in the attempt to cover some other games. So obviously, Destiny channel. 99.9% Destiny content. I don't know what the actual percentage is, but you've had moments in time where you chose other games to cover. And what's funny too is like in the framework of it, like going back and scrolling through some of those, it's like, I mean, these videos are getting like 200, 300,000 views. So like that would be like phenomenal for anyone who wanted to cover those games. But in context, I understand why you thought maybe that wasn't something to fully pursue. However, you do have a beginner's guide for Monster Hunter World with 2.8 million views.
No idea how. No idea. It's just one of those things that hit in the algo.
Yeah, you have a suite of Anthem videos that are north of 200K.
I am now Anthem's biggest hater.
Anthem's biggest hater. I want to talk about that in a second. However, my personal favorite of yours is the Suika game arc that you had. The amount of time spent just playing that on the screen with my wife, and it's still one of my most played Switch games. I'm not even joking. It's It's so good. Has the second one come out? Didn't they make
I
a second
know
one?
they made a bunch of spin-offs and stuff. I actually just booted up the OG like a couple days ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
There's a genuine second, like from the actual guy or gal or whoever made it that's coming out that they had announced earlier. But what has the role of like covering other games? What opportunities have come your way? Has there been anything that you actually thought might take you? Like, it's like, hey, might need a channel name change because like I'm gonna cover this and
no, I covered a lot of other things. The Division was the first thing that I attempted to cover because I was genuinely curious to see what else could be done with the genre by somebody else. So there was that genuine curiosity, and I was having a good time and all that. But besides that one, a lot of things felt more like an obligation more than something I truly was getting invested into. Like my heart was still with Destiny, like really hard. And covering Division, covering Anthem, covering Monster Hunter, those are games where you gotta put your whole ass into it. They are not like, it is so difficult to cover multiple live service games at the level that I think you'd want to cover them. Like I could not cover Destiny and another live service game like a PvE experience like a Division at the same time unless all I did was work.
Yeah.
The entire time. I'm talking 14 hours a day minimum. All you're doing is playing games and working and producing constantly. You want to talk about burnout. That's how you burn out.
For sure.
Is trying to do too many things. But a lot of the part of the reason that I stopped trying to do as much coverage of other games is because number one, burnout. But yeah, it just felt like more of like an obligation. Like, oh, other creators in the Destiny space are doing videos. I should do videos too on them, even if like I'm not super into it. Which is why a lot of my arcs in other games are so short. Division arc did not last a super long time. Monster Hunter didn't last a super long time because I knew what it would take to like do all the things that I potentially wanted to do in that game coverage wise, and just I didn't have it in me to do it on top of all my Destiny stuff. Plus, with something like Monster Hunter, I kind of had my fill. I'm like, all right, put like 150 hours, close to 200 hours in this game. I did everything I want to do.
Sure.
I'm good. I don't have any more enthusiasm for this experience. Anthem, will be forever be Anthem's biggest hater. The way that they baited the ever-loving crap out of so many people, including myself. F that game. F them. So baited. Never want to talk about it again. And then, yeah, everything else afterwards, just, I just wanted to stick with Destiny. I knew how much work it would take.
Yeah.
And I wasn't willing to put in that level of time because Destiny already takes so much. I don't look at future game releases anymore because Destiny has conditioned me to know that I'm never going to be able to play that other stuff because I'm too busy working on videos for Destiny. So I just, you reach a limit and you find your limit. And my limit was, I do one game. I could cover one game.
Yeah. So a quote from one of the retrospective videos, and they kind of run together. I should have figured out which one they were actually from, but you mentioned, you said, this is verbatim, posting non-Destiny at slow times makes your audience think you've given up.
Yeah.
For that, like, you still resonate with that? And then do you think, I guess let me ask it this way. Do you think channels such as mine at a small scale, Llama's, and like I said, we're friends, we do a lot of stuff together, but he is the quintessential, like, always optimistic, only Destiny, like, just doing this. And we've been talking a lot about what this pivot's going to look like. Should he be considering pivoting? So let's not say specific about him, but like just content creators in general, should they be pivoting their existing audience and trying to move that ship? Or with your experience with these second channels, should they be taking the experience that they've built up on the main channel and applying it somewhere else to try to get like unique momentum in the algorithm with YouTube, things of that sort?
Yeah, I mean, I made the second channels and the third channels for algorithm-based purposes. I knew that, like, maybe like way back when people were playing off of the sub feed as opposed to the homepage, you can get away with like kind of uploading whatever you want. Me, I never really set myself up as like a personality that you wanted to like come watch play anything. I even said it to myself very early on. I was like, you're going to be the guides guy. You're going to be the educational guy, and people are going to come for you for Destiny information. And then as soon as you have no more information to give them, they are going to leave. And that's it. Because I didn't consider myself much of an entertainer when I first started. I was like, I'm good at telling people how to do things so that they can enjoy the game better. For me, I wanted to set up those other channels to like set up expectations about what people will get to experience at these channels, but also nowadays with like the algorithm, determining how much a video is pushed. If I upload a not Destiny video to my channel, I know that it's going to be the worst performing video out of the last 10 videos. YouTube is not going to push it out to anybody. And then the next video that I upload, YouTube is going to be apprehensive about pushing out that video to audiences because the previous video didn't do well. So not only are you hurting your main channel content, your not main channel content still going up on main is also not going to do as well unless you have established yourself as a personality that, when people come to your channel, they want to watch everything that you do, right? As opposed to this one specific thing. So as for like trying to convert your main channel into something else and try to bring your viewers along, I think you can try. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think people, have the same luxury that I do where I can, open up a new channel and I have enough of an audience that probably likes something else that I can be like, hey, come on over. You like Deadlock? Come on over to this one. We're talking about Deadlock over here. Versus trying to convert my audience into viewers of something else, because I feel like it's very difficult to regain momentum. Your sub count is probably just going to keep slowly bleeding out as people see more of these videos that people like they don't care about because it's not Destiny anymore. So I'm like, why am I still seeing these videos? And I feel like it's difficult for the average person to be able to then switch from one game to another on their main channel and have positive growth. The most you could hope for, I feel like, is neutral. Again, for the average person. I'm not saying this is impossible. I'm not saying no one's ever done it. But it's a lot easier to go from like niche game to you uploaded a couple videos on Fortnite a few years ago and exploded versus going from Destiny to like maybe another niche game. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why I made the new channels.
And I think that's very valid. And you made the new channels also without the knowledge of when Destiny was going away and having this full pivot option. Obviously, I'm wondering, it'll be very interesting maybe this time next year, seeing the creators that did decide that they were going to pivot, create new channels, what that has looked like. And if we'll have any kind of case study on like, someone like, someone getting in and saying, hey guys, we all have the shared understanding as Destiny players, Destiny enjoyers, that Destiny's not getting new stuff. And you guys have been here. So I'm going to pivot this. We're going to do this. If you want to hang out with me, do this, and we're going to go down this path.
We've already had some people pivot and do really good stuff. My buddy Jez has put out multiple million view videos because he knows how to play the algorithm really well. He's always experimenting with titles and thumbnails and this and that, and he has refined his process. So now he's getting, when a video pops off, that's getting 1 million views. Sir D was setting himself up to be much more of an entertainer that didn't need Destiny specifically. He could just hop over to any game and create these funny moments, and he's an insane editor with like all these like really up-to-date references and all this kind of stuff. So it's not impossible, but those two in particular set themselves up as entertainers for a very long time. So they were able to make a switch. I knew Sir D was going to be able to rotate over to anything that he wanted to do, and he was going to find success. And I'm very happy.
I think he has multiple 100,000 subscriber channels too. Like I watch, like I will randomly get videos from all of his channels like sent to me, and I can't really personally distinguish what they are. I'm sure like he probably has in his mind, hey, this is what this is for, this is not. Yeah. But like they all just feel very consistently high quality, kind of like speaking to what you're saying, and just really hit with his type of audience.
Yeah,
like
but the difference,
not for everyone.
The difference with those two examples is like they weren't switching from Destiny over to another specific game to then make like educational content on those games. Like they were able to leverage what they already had with the entertainment value that they were providing, and then turning it into something that was successful across the entire gaming landscape on YouTube, and not just like one hyper specific audience.
I gotcha. So obviously the whole thing we're talking about is safeguarding against like external volatility, right? Like the things that Bungie can do, Sony can do, what the broader gaming industry can do. And so, creating these secondary channels, have you seen like, okay, so just talking specifically about it, you have the Hello Datto channel, which is I guess, how would you explain the Hello Datto channel?
Hello Datto is just pure variety. It's me playing with my friends. It is not Destiny, and it is now not Deadlock, because I opened up another channel for Deadlock. It used to be some Deadlock over there. Now I've made the new channel. All the Deadlock stuff's on another channel. Because I've been collaborating a lot more with people outside of the Bungie and Destiny community. That was one of my goals last year, was I need to escape this bubble that we're in, because the Destiny community is very isolated from the rest of the gaming internet. There's not as much crossover, and it feels like we're on an island. So I was like, I want to start making new friends outside of the space, because it's healthy to get outside every once in a while, right?
Sure.
So that is just whatever I want to play. Let's make something funny. If you do actually really like me as an entertainer, you go over there and we're playing a bunch of everything. And then Datto Does Deadlock is basically Datto Does Destiny, but it's Deadlock. That's it. That's the whole thing. Although I do have a bit of a different methodology with how I am going to be creating content for Deadlock versus Destiny, just because they are two extremely different game experiences, and you can't just be like, I'm going to do exactly what I did for Destiny and do it for Deadlock. Like, it's not going to work.
When you first made the Hello Datto channel, do you feel like growth early on, was it organic, or did you feel like you had a lot of the like D2 community bleed over into that?
The majority of that channel has to be like Destiny viewers, because I originally made that channel, and as an experiment, I didn't tell anybody. Yeah, I just started uploading videos, just zero, and seeing if it could grow organically. And slowly over time, like it took like a couple of weeks to start revving up, and then it's like YouTube started pushing videos out, and a lot of people from the Destiny channel started to see it, and then we had this like big explosion of subs when I put out a video about like, here's why I made this channel, because we hit like a certain sub amount that maybe say like, okay, if we hit this amount of subs, I'll talk about why I did this. And then that exploded, but then I've been very inconsistent on that channel, so a lot of people dropped off of it. But yeah, no, I would hope that there's some people over there who don't know me from Destiny and just know me from those variety videos, but I know that the odds, the percentage of those people has to be minuscule, like fractions of a percent at best.
Yeah, that's fair. Anecdotally, I know that I was served one of your videos before you made your video announcing it publicly that you had it. So I don't remember what video it was, but I do remember me like, hold on, did someone steal his logo? And do this, and then get in and see that, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I will say, over there, you have I don't know the name. I should have pulled it up. It was your Nuzlocke you did with Mr. Fruit. It's one of my, I'm not even lying, it's one of my favorite gaming videos that I've just watched. I forget if I said it's the best video I ever made, because I did a video recently that was like, here's the best videos I think I ever made. It might be the number one video that I think I've ever made in my life. Interesting. It was awesome, and I
appreciate it.
Yeah, I was very happy to see it, because it wasn't for me in my concept. I think I was very, very early, like starting to make videos, and I knew like how hard a lot of the things were. I knew like pulling things together, but not only that, it was just nice to see a Destiny creator being able to do something else and being excited about something. Because I think just sometimes seeing the light in someone's eyes is nice. Yeah. If that makes sense.
I loved making that video. It turned out so awesome. Well. I'm so happy with it. And seeing the light in someone's eyes again, that's me with Deadlock right now. If we get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard, I don't remember where it was, but I did hear you say that it was like way harder to make Deadlock content. Is it way harder or just way different?
It's both. I think it's both. It's way different because first of all, it's a PvP game. It's a MOBA. Sure. There's only so many times I can talk about certain mechanics in the game before people are just like, yeah, man, we get it. I understand. Here's how the laning phase works. I get it. So you have to have a much different approach for a PvP game, a MOBA specifically. There's quite a lot of content you can do on it, but you have to handle it in a very different way compared to Destiny. And then it's just harder because it's a PvP game, and I know a lot of people don't know me as a PvP guy because I did PvE content for 12 years.
Sure.
But my original gaming roots are in PvP, and so hopefully, I can keep climbing in that game, because my concern about PvP based content and doing content on PvP games is that it's very easy to disregard someone's opinion just because they are not the highest rank in the game.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a Turnus 6. I'm not the highest rank in the game. I just hit Ascendant 1, which is like a full set of ranks below a Turnus. And so figuring out how to make content when you're not one of the greatest players in the game has been a learning experience, to say the least.
Sure. Do you tackle that through any like collaboration type things with people who may be in there in an aspirational sense? Do you what are you thinking?
I mean, I've definitely collabed with people, but it's mainly just been like, oh, let's duo queue together and just like play some games on stream or whatever, and maybe like we have a good game together and I would post something like that. But right now, I think I'm kind of using myself as use me as a bridge between your rank and then like talking to Eternus players and the highest ranked players, because they play the game very differently at the highest rank or at the professional setting. And a lot of them are making builds and content that is based around the absolute pinnacle of that game. And then there's everybody else.
Sure.
And the game is played a little bit differently when you're not in Eternus 6 at the highest ranks playing super coordinated. So I'm like, I want to be that bridge. Like, I will bring you up to my rung on the ladder, and then the people above me can bring you up there.
Sure.
So that's how I'm approaching content for that game right now.
Just kind of hand the audience, be like, hey, steady hand through.
I know where I'm at. I know my skill level, but like, let me at least get you to where I am.
Yeah.
And then when you inevitably surpass me, okay, at least I brought you up here, and then somebody else can lift you higher than that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So you're creating these new channels. When did you decide that it's time that you need to bring in some help? Because I know that for a long time you just did this thing yourself.
Yep.
And the two sides that I want you just to be ruminating on, like editing, obviously, but then you mentioned in one of your retrospective videos about like finding an agency to work at, like that could actually make this viable and help you like tackle some things. You had said something like with sponsorships or something of that sort and things of that sort.
The sponsor stuff is a little bit different to like the editing stuff. I have an agent who I've been with for like the past, 6 years now, something like that. She's amazing. And so the agency side was just like, I don't like to haggle.
Sure.
I don't want to have conversations where I'm trying to like haggle my rates. I'm just going to let someone who knows how that world works do all the haggling for me and like handle all the business deals. And she just sends me like, hey, XYZ company reached out. They want you to do this. Here's the rate. Do you want to do it? And that's it. And that's all I have to do. Like, yes, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And nice. I made more in sponsors than I did YouTube ad revenue. It was either last year or 2 years ago. That's how significant my agent has been in terms of getting sponsors and stuff like that. I would absolutely tell people to get an agent because they know what you're worth. And it's very easy to get taken advantage of as a new creator who is starting to see some success. I got fleeced so many times the start of my career, knowing what I should have been paid versus what I actually got paid. And I got fleeced because they knew I was inexperienced and they knew I didn't have an agent. So she's been amazing. The editing side, I had been doing it all myself for over a decade. And part of the reason was because I still wanted to feel like I had a personal touch on the channel. I didn't want it to feel like some outsourced thing where I'm just like, I just stream for a while and then, you know, someone else is like, all right, I'm going to rip this and this and then just upload it to the channel and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I am very jealous of people who get to do that and who have been able to do that for an incredibly long time because it's a very good way to be able to monetize your content in multiple places and to ensure that you don't have to do as much work. I'm incredibly jealous, and I'm starting to adopt that philosophy a little bit more so that I can actually have some free time. But I was just getting to a breaking point where I was like, I can't continue to do this anymore and not be burned the hell out. And I figure, you know, I was a control freak for a very long time. Things needed to be done exactly how I wanted to do them 100% of the time, or I didn't want to have it go out. And I feel like having an editor was going to taint that experience. It's not some guy does Destiny. It's Datto does Destiny. So I wanted to have my personal touch on everything, but it just eventually I just ran out of steam. And I was like, you know what? If the editor gets like 90% of the way there and I just have to do some finishing touches, or they get 95% of the way there, and I'm just like, good enough. You know, I maybe would have changed one edit here, one thing here. That's good. And it's allowed me to be able to actually produce more things compared to what I would be able to just do by myself. Like the second channel would not exist if I did not have an editor, because it's too much time. It takes too much time to produce all that stuff. So it's allowed me to have a little more free time. It's allowed me to have more content go up. And that's a burnout thing. It's another burnout thing.
So it's been altogether, both of those things have been positive experiences for you.
Yes.
That's great.
And I should have hired help much sooner. Absolutely.
That was going to be. That was going to be my next question.
A lot
like
of it,
if you could turn back the clock a little bit and talk to yourself.
100% would have hired someone a lot sooner. I would have adopted other content practices that I'm now doing. A lot of it just came from a place of arrogance, of just being like, no, I have to do everything. It's Datto does Destiny. I need to like make sure, like I just wanted it to feel like someone was making content and it wasn't just a place to put clips. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's the smartest thing you could do. But I just wanted my personal touch on everything, just because that's just how I like to operate.
I think that's fair enough. Let's talk a little bit about, because you're talking about like ripping things from streams, whatever. Just a couple more things here about the content side of things, and then I want to talk a little bit of Destiny to wrap up. Okay. What role has streaming played? And so obviously, I think I was looking it up, like 1.2 million on YouTube, and it's like I was shocked by this, over the 800,000 followers on Twitch.
It's a fake number. It's fake.
Really?
It's a fake number because the majority of the follows that I've gotten on Twitch were people following for the raid streams.
Really?
So all those people would follow the stream for whatever I think I have like follower 10-minute mode where like you had to be follower for 10 minutes before you could talk.
I see.
So I get like tens of thousands of follows every single raid race. 4 of them would show back up the next day, and everybody else is essentially a dead follower. Like they don't click on the stream whatsoever. So that is a fake as hell number. Yeah, it does not reflect it has never reflected my actual viewership outside of raid day. That's it. So I don't really regard Twitch followers as like a real number in my stats.
Yeah, that's super interesting though, because I think even if it's not technically, I do have to wonder if there's a little bit of like perception, right? Like a brand comes in and wants to look
for
and
sure.
see.
They're like, oh
like,
my god,
you can't be mad at it.
Yeah,
it's not like you paid for them, even though there's a lot of people paying for stuff like that on Twitch.
Yeah,
and everything at this point. But what percentage, or like what would you say, like considering yourself between, obviously it seems like much more on the YouTuber side than streamer, or am I extrapolating that incorrectly?
Nowadays, I feel like I'm a bit more stream heavy than YouTube.
Okay.
I consider myself a better YouTuber than a streamer, but I do streaming a bit more because it's a bit more consistent. It's a bit more reliable. Streaming actually used to be something I only did like once a week. Like very beginning of my career, Twitch was maybe 5 to 8% of my total income. I didn't want to stream that much. Destiny very early on was making itself a service directory. It was generally assumed that if you booted up the stream, you were there to help the community, like run raids and dungeons and strikes and nightfalls and whatever. And that's not what I wanted to do. And I'm sure some people are going to view that as selfish, but it's not the kind of content that I wanted to create. I didn't want to just be a service streamer. Like talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. Now I'm an educator / service streamer. Like, I have no chance of even trying to develop my own personality. And slowly over time, I started to stream more. And now I think probably the past 3 years, if not the past 4 years, my live stream income has been greater than my YouTube income.
Really?
And I work about 5 to 10 times as hard producing YouTube content, at least when I was doing it by myself, compared to turning on the stream and just streaming. Streaming is so much easier. It's way less stressful.
Yeah.
It makes me more money than heavily producing like all the videos that I could for YouTube. It just the pay is not as good. I remember I think it was like episode 2 Revenant, something like that, where we went hard on videos in like October. I think we had a video every other day. Most of them scripted, produced pieces of content. My streaming income from that month beat my YouTube income from that month by 4x. Something like that. And I was just turning on the stream. So if you've been wondering
just for being there,
maybe why some of your favorite YouTubers have been streaming a lot more, it's because it's way easier and it probably pays more and you don't have to worry about producing YouTube content.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of in this weird place right now. I do this show. I love this. This is great. But a lot of my stuff is very, it would fall into like an educational place and would be specifically in Destiny as well. I have enjoyed playing some other games doing that too. Mm-hmm. And as we're coming off of this like paternity leave, like with the baby, I've been considering like what is the level that I really need to dial in on, like being consistent with a schedule with streaming. Like how important would you say something like that is to developing?
Very important. Yeah. Reliability is key. People, it's easier to like have a consistent audience when they know that you're going to be on at a consistent time. I have, for the first time in my entire streaming career, I have an offline chat where people will start to gather.
Interesting.
In my chat. It's not many people. It's like, maybe 5-6 people, something like that. Sure. But they'll start gathering in the chat around like 9:30. I go live at 10, and they'll just talk with each other for a little bit. And
interesting.
I think having a schedule is super. It's nice to have. Obviously, there's a lot of very successful streamers with very sporadic schedules, and there's people who can just disappear for days, weeks, months, and then they could just show back up again and everyone's like, yo, he's back or whatever. I don't think I'm one of those people. So that's why I have a schedule. But it's helpful to know like that you're going to be on at this time, on this day, every time. to grow some consistency with an audience.
The last thing I want to talk about here is like collaboration and like community stuff. Okay.
Yep.
So like with that, the live streaming would be a touch point directly with your community as well that you don't necessarily have. Like you can get in the comments section, but you're getting like likes and dislikes. That's the raw input or views, I guess you would have.
Yep.
My own experience, in the last year being in the creator community for D2, honestly, I felt a real sense of like camaraderie there and far less hostility than there is in the broader Destiny community.
Yep.
Has it always been that way, or is that something that like developed over time?
Nope. It's always been like that. Literally since the beginning. It is the one thing. It's not the one thing. It's one of the things that I am really going to miss about this place is because Destiny is primarily a collaborative game and a collaborative experience. We all like very early on became friends. Like the early days where there was like, it was maybe the same 20 people getting flown out to all these events just because there were only like 20 creators for the game.
Sure.
So they just brought everybody. So we'd see each other multiple times a year and we hanging out at these events and, hanging out for multiple days. And you just became friends through those events. And in turn, that has like leaked over to just the rest of Destiny as a whole. There's not that much animosity between the majority of creators out there. You got some people. I'm not going to name names. There's some less than savory individuals, but that's with every community. But since the beginning, this community, the creator community, has always been collaborative. Everyone is willing to do stuff with other people. People are willing to help each other out. Hey, do you have a clip of this? Do you have footage of that? Can you help me with the audio for this thing? Can you step in to help me do a Zer video? Can you do a voiceover for this? Can you hop in the strike with me to go whatever?
Sure.
You ask, and a lot of people are willing to help you. And that's something that I don't think exists nearly as much in basically every other gaming community. Like that's the one thing that the Destiny creator community does really, really friggin' well is we're all friends. We're all, or at the very least, cordial to each other.
Yeah.
Collaborative. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it plays into what, like the vault cleaning mania, you just popping in and being able to help people do that in quiet times and busy times. I mean, you're doing it all over the place, but
it was also like free views for like a lot of, like during the craze, it was like, I didn't ask anybody if they wanted to do one, but I also told people like, if you want to do one, it's free views. So let me know when you want to do it.
That's awesome. I mean, but I think that speaks a lot to, I mean, even what I said at the top where you were like, I couldn't actually believe that I even got a message back that you wanted to do this. So I appreciate that because not only are you like benefiting from the collaborative nature, but you're feeding into it, right? Like you're also giving back to what has been good to you, which I think there's sometimes you'll have people that won't do that, right?
Yeah. And it's not like I say yes to every single collab request that I ever get. I'm just one guy, and I'm sure there's some people out there who's like, well, you didn't say yes to me. I was maybe not in a place to be able to do something, or I didn't jive with you. I'm sorry. I try to do a reasonable amount of things.
Sure. Yeah, I think you nailed on that. You're one dude. Like what you can, you will. The last piece of the community that I wanted to touch on, because I think it's impactful and it kind of sums up like you as being a creator over these years and like what it could have meant to you. You mentioned that like 99% of the friends that you have right now are like some way associated with this. Mm-hmm. Your literal wife is associated with this. What has that meant to kind of tie up this like content creation journey and what, things have been over time? Like what has that meant to you for this game to give you that opportunity?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, this game is quite literally giving me everything that I have in my life. Like, again, going back to the beginning of the show, I am so much more successful than I ever thought I would be in pretty much every facet of my life. I'm incredibly grateful for, all the friends that I've made. I've met so many people who I first met online, in person. My Destiny clan hosts a friggin' party every year for the past 10 years during Labor Day weekend up here in Seattle, like there's not a lot of other communities where you're going to be able to make something like that happen, especially across like so many people too. Like maybe you form like a friend circle of like a few people and you guys have a meetup, you know, every now and then or something like that. But this is the stuff that I've experienced is just on a completely other level.
That's awesome. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the show, would you consider directly supporting today by becoming a member on YouTube? This is the #1 way that you can support the channel and make it clear that you appreciate the time and effort put in to produce the podcast on a weekly basis. We have a variety of levels that you can select from to support the channel, each with their own unique benefits. However, every member will have their name shown in the credits at the end of the next episode after they join. Thank you for your consideration, and let's get back to the episode. One thing that I wanted to bring up, and I thought that was kind of interesting, and you have a very unique perspective on, and now you can say that you've been there for every day one raid that's ever existed. Mm-hmm. You've been a part of them, and that's a very small crew. Is there anyone else that you know of that has literally been there for every day one?
I'm sure there's been some people maybe just who are a little more under the radar.
I gotcha.
You know, I'm sure. I think maybe one person on my raid team's been around for all of them, just like on different teams.
I see.
But yeah, the number of people who have done every single one cannot be that high.
We talked already about the impact of like Vault of Glass, what that had, so we can move from there. But when did day one raiding? It felt like day one raiding originally started as kind of like this unknown piece, and then it was very niche, that a niche thing that in-game players would get into, and then I don't know, it's gone through cycles, I guess, of like the approachability, things of this sort. Mm-hmm. When was the first time that you remember it being like less like, I don't know the best way to say this, like less accessible, I guess, for the average player? Like, did it feel like it could have been accessible for Vault of Glass day one for anyone, or was it kind of closed off
accessible
to top players at that point?
Accessible in that, like,
actually clearing it, having viable chance to be successful.
Because like Vault of Glass, I think was viable, but you just needed, like, a lot of the viability stuff has to do with the grind, at least early on.
I gotcha.
Did you grind enough levels to be able to participate in the thing in the first place? Because very early on, if you didn't have the levels, you had no chance. But if you did have the levels, you absolutely had, like, any team had a chance of clearing.
Interesting. Okay.
The first time, God, when was like the first big? I mean, the first big barrier had to have been probably like Last Wish, Spire Stars maybe before that. Like that, but that was mainly like the boss being so complex, kind of thing. Last Wish, in terms of accessibility, I mean, there were only so many teams that could even have a chance of fighting Riven just purely from light level, because the grind was incredibly intense. But it was still accessible in that, like, most teams could at least enter and maybe get a couple bosses down, and then, you know, you'd be limited by light level, and you just have to be like, all right, we're too low level for this. That I would consider some level of accessibility. But it's probably Last Wish is probably like the earliest one that you're gonna get an answer for.
The like breaking point of who's getting in there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. This is I don't know if you've been asked this before, and I apologize if you have. Do you think more good has come out of situations like 2402 and getting Terrabah to drop, even though you were in second, than had you won those races? More positive for your channel, more positive for you as a creator, or, you know, more publicity?
The 2402 stuff is still like one of the most memorable things from Last Wish in general.
Sure.
So like something like that, you could argue maybe, would I rather have the belt? Yeah, rather have the belt than the 2402 stuff. But it is like a nice little consolation prize in that it's like this piece of Destiny lore that will just kind of live on forever. Something that I think would live on more than if we had won. The Crown of Sorrow, not as much, because that one, most people knew that they could meme up 2402, and I had no problem with that. Meme it, joke it up all you want, because if you don't joke about it, it will consume you. And so you can joke about that because it's funny. It is funny. The Crown of Sorrow was just more sad.
Yeah.
Like there was no comedy element to it. Like maybe if you really hated me, you found it funny. But like in terms of the grand scheme of like things being funny, it wasn't. It was just way more sad. And I'm very appreciative that no one tried to like joke about it. No one tried to like put me down on it. They just, I'd rather people just say 2402 because there just wasn't that much. It wasn't a funny thing, Sure. 2402 is funny. Like we can at least look back on that and laugh.
It's just so ironic.
The Crown
was 2 minutes.
Yeah, the Crown was just sad. Like that was just sad for everybody involved. So, and I appreciate that people didn't really, that everyone understood that it was sad, and they're like, we have something else that we could make fun of you for. Like, we'll leave that one alone. So
sure. Did you ever? And you can just not say if you can't talk about it. But did you ever have people from Bungie reach out to you about these two situations in any capacity and be like, dude, you guys were so close. Like, we'll give you the emblem for the 2402, or hey, we really fucked up with the Terrabah thing and what this was going to be, or was it kind of just like
yes, I have. Deej at the time, community manager, asked me, like, do you really want us to like try to give you this emblem? I was like, no, that would set a horrible precedent for like the rest of the game's life.
Absolutely.
Do not give us the emblem. Absolutely not. The Terrabah thing, I remember having a conversation with someone about what happened, like what caused it to trigger. Beyond that, let's just say there's a reason that the next raid exotic was Divinity, and it was a quest and not a drop.
Interesting.
And that's what I will say on that.
That works. That is more than enough. So, how do you feel about the ramp that we've had? So obviously there was a huge dip for Root of Nightmares, and we all know that at this point, though I still thoroughly enjoy running that raid, just like getting in there doing it. But it is, even I am usually one of the more active people in the raid, I still find it's just like one of those things, get in, have fun with it. Turnaround. Crota, I felt like Crota was one, and I do want to ask you this as well, it just popped in my head, but like I personally feel like Crota is one of the best like balanced day one experiences. I've said this before across the board. I feel like personally we've gone a little too far, but I understand just letting the top of the top have their thing and do that. Where do you feel like that line, having been in all of them, what do you feel like has been the best balanced across the board? And then how do you feel about this ramp up, like this intense ramp up we've seen?
I think like a good raid experience, day one experience, is somewhere in the like 7 to 10, maybe 11 hour mark. Like first clear being around like early 7 hours. Maybe the next top 10 are within that next 30 minutes or so. And then once you start to hit like double digit hours, that's when like a lot more of the clears are coming in.
Sure.
I think that's like the most reasonable. So something like Vow I thought was good. Obviously minus all like the errors and the problems and the connections.
Sure.
If we didn't have those issues, I think Vow is like a great example of a day one where it was tough, but it wasn't 24 hours. It wasn't this all day, all night grind. Crota, I'm kind of with you, similar boat, where I forget when first clear was. I want to say like 7 hours, 8 hours. I forget. Sure. But that's another good example of like it took you a while. You still had to kind of punch at it, but you're not up until like 5 a.m. trying to do it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I do think like I had this discussion when Desert Perpetual first came out, where I was like, who is the day one raid for? Who does Bungie want the day one raid to be for? Do they want it to just be for the most hardcore of hardcore, and they really want to challenge those people because they don't really get that kind of a challenge in the game the majority of the other times? Or do they want to make it this thing where like you want to feel like you have a chance going in because it's a very cool community-wide experience, right? To be able to do day one raiding, like you want to feel like you have a chance, right? And when you feel like you have no chance at all, that's when it kind of becomes unfun. So as like a super giga hardcore raider, I love the last two, but as more of like a realist, like, you know, maybe who should this be for? I'm not sure how much I like it, because I understand how cool it is for like a lot of people to be able to participate. And you always want to feel like you have a chance. So if we were going to have another raid, I would have hoped that they maybe would have done something to, you know, strike a bit of a better balance. But, you know, business-wise, the longer a raid goes, that's it's a couple more bucks in my pocket. So, like...
That's true.
You know, if I'm trying to be a little selfish, like, yeah, the longer the better, man. Keep me in there all 48 hours. I don't freaking care.
Yeah.
But that's not, you know, that's like me and like maybe two other people feel like that streaming wise, and that's about it. So
that's fair. The only way that I feel like that became tolerable, and I feel like Bungie was trying something, the whole like blocking screens, no comms, blacked out, blurred out, whatever. How did you feel when that turned into the meta? Like, do you I mean, I'm sure you understand why that's going there, how serious it is, but like, what are your actual thoughts on that?
I don't like to do it, you know.
Yeah.
I did it during Salvation's Edge because my team was like, we're muting comms, we block your screen, we want to win, and you know, I am not the leader of the team. It's not like me and my bandits like going out to raid.
Sure.
Everyone's got an equal piece of the pie. And if they want me to mute, I'm going to mute. And so like, but I also understand the frustration as a viewer to just stare at nothing and hear nothing for like a really long time. That sucks. And every time we had to mute, we had to block screen, whatever, the next question that I'm usually asking is, can I unmute? Can I unblock? Can I unmute? Can I unblock?
Yeah.
Because I want people to be able to see it. But I understand, because the competition only gets more and more fierce as the years go on, and people really want that frickin' belt. And they're going to do whatever it takes to try to get the frickin' belt. And that side I understand. So I understand both sides. I don't hate what Bungie did at all. You know, saying like, hey, if you're participating, you got to keep your screen unblocked, game unmuted. Good for them for like putting their foot down. Unfortunately, I don't think it was really it needed to be enforced that much during Desert Perpetual, just because of how the raid was set up. Because it wasn't this linear thing where it's like, oh, the team out in front is just going to block their screen forever until they beat it. Yeah. Everyone's going different ways. So by the time one team is done with one boss, another team's fighting another boss, and you already found out all the information from this other boss anyway. So the only way that would have worked is if everyone muted and blocked their stream everywhere. So it's they set up some rules, but I don't think we even really needed them for Desert Perpetual. I don't know of anybody who was really blocking screens that much, if at all.
Yeah, popping in there, doing that. The one thing that I did find funny, especially on EDP, was someone like Salt, who got relegated to ad clear in the final encounter because the team knew what they were doing, but they knew that so many eyes were on his stream that they were like, we're not going to allow you to show, even though you can't block off.
Which is fair.
Super fair. I mean, that is a part of the raid, but it's such an interesting way. And so I was like, you know what? Good on him. Good on him for figuring out how you can stay within the bounds. That is a better viewer experience as long as your team can manage it, right? Yeah. Like, you know, and obviously they could.
And I mean, like, fortunately, in the contest experience, ad clear is actually an important role. It's actually insanely important, because if you don't know how to ad clear, your team is just going to get overrun. So, like, ad clear on a day one is immensely important.
Well, Datto, I have one last little rapid fire closing here for you. Okay, and this is just to close out Destiny. Once again, thanks for your time today, man. I need to know. Okay, I was going to ask this before we knew it was closing down, and now even more so.
I'm just telling you right now, if you ask me what D1 exotic I want to see in D2, I will leave the call before it's uploaded. And then you will have to work with my crappy footage.
I will not be asking you that. I actually, this may be maybe even a little more divisive. I'm hoping it will be. On the Mount Rushmore of Destiny content creators, you're on there, sir. Who are filling the other 4 spots?
Jesus.
So I'm adding ahead to that, and I'm leaving 4 spots there. Who are you putting there?
That is, I mean, I've never been asked this question, and I don't like playing favorites too much. You know, I don't like pitting people against each other too much.
You're not saying bad stuff about other people.
No, I know, but someone's gonna be like, "Oh, why don't you put me on there?" Mount Rushmore. It depends, I think, on how you view, like, how do you frame a Mount Rushmore? Is it the people now? Is it some of the founders, right? So, like, the way that I'm viewing it, you know, the question has come up recently of like, oh, who's like on the Mount Rushmore of like streaming, and a lot of it was like, you know, like Summit and Lyric and like some of these guys who have been around since the freaking beginning, right?
Sure.
Like, I think More Console I would put up there because he was around at the beginning. He helped establish. Sorry, someone just subbed to me on Twitch right now. He helped establish a pretty significant community very, very early on. I'd put Bife up there. For he's the only one who matches me in like being around basically since the beginning, right?
Sure.
And providing a side of the game that, you know, probably not as many other creators were interacting with, right? God, I would be remiss to not put my boy Mr. Fruit up there in the early days. He was a juggernaut in the early days. I remember seeing his channel, and he's posting like every day, and he's getting like 100, 150, 200,000 views of video. And I'm like, how is he doing that? It's crazy. And so he set the bar early on for comedy content and entertainment, and was setting himself up to be a creator in the Destiny space who was not purely an educator. Number 4.
You want to show any PvP love? And I'm not trying to color it. I've been thinking through, trying to think through as well.
I am definitely a bit more PvE coded.
That's fair.
Oh man. Number 4. Yeah, like I think of more of Mount Rushmore as like some of the founders, some of the early,
that's fair,
early faces. Number 4.
And that's a great time warp for someone like me who's like, I did not play a ton those early days, so I wasn't consuming that content and stuff as well.
I'm trying to think of like those founders, those base level guys. I guess you got to put Githalion up there as being one of the early faces. He I did not know anything about him. I remember him popping into my chat very early on, you know, just kind of like welcoming me, not only to like, you know, Destiny, but to mainly to like Twitch, essentially.
Gotcha.
And so I guess he would be on like kind of like the live stream side of things. So yeah.
And he's still there fighting the good fight all the time for the live streaming space.
Yeah, he's still streaming. I mean, he doesn't have to. I'm sure he's like $1 million bazillion fucking dollars at this point. He's just out here kind of doing it. But yeah, my POV is a bit more early days. Who established the foundation? Who established like the bedrock that everybody else could build upon? That's kind of how.
Well, there's only few people that can actually speak to that, and you're one of them, right? Yeah. Like you're one of the people who were there, and that's just a raw time thing, as well. Last piece here for you. What is, and I like to ask this, what is your favorite exotic weapon of all time?
It's still probably gonna be like Year 1 Hawkmoon.
Okay.
I don't think I ever got attached to another weapon like I did Hawkmoon Year 1 of D1. I used it. I mean, I used it a ton throughout a lot of D1, and I don't know if I ever associated myself with an exotic as much as I did with Hawkmoon in the early D1 days.
Gotcha.
Something about it it felt good. It felt good hitting like those like you having those rare one-shot moments.
Yeah.
I only captured it maybe 2 or 3 times on camera getting like a one shot in PvP, because it was just you had to hit a 1 in 13 and a 1 in 13 and a 1 in 13 all in the same place. And it probably happened to me like less than a dozen times, but it was always fun getting those moments.
It was worth it.
Yeah, it's still probably got to be that. I think most people would, I think, still associate me with that.
You had mentioned, I can't remember, we've been going at it here for a minute, but you did mention on stream recently that you're about to hit the ground running with this update, and then we hit that about mid-August time and kind of allow things to be and sit where they are. What's next for Datto, Danielle, and Brim? Are you ever gonna get that sabbatical you've been kicking around for a long time? I know you've even vaguely mentioned about like potential someday of living abroad, and you've been doing stuff, and you went over to Korea for a little bit. Like anything that you feel comfortable or you want to share, just for those who are really dialed in?
I think right now, I've just never found the right time to take the sabbatical. Like, I wanted to take the sabbatical when I wanted to take it originally. This is like before Final Shape got delayed, because I was going to be able to like line it up with a lull in content and then just be able to hit the ground running with Final Shape. Although spoilers, part of the reason that I made the Hello Datto variety channel is because I genuinely thought Final Shape was going to flop. I thought it was going to be a flop. I thought people were not going to like it. And I think people were going to fall off of it crazy, and technically they did, but like I thought in a much more flop like way. So I wanted to take the sabbatical at the time that I did because I thought it would line up well, and then I made the new channel, so I was using my sabbatical time to blow up the new channel. And now I feel like it would be a bad time to take the sabbatical because I'm just now starting to get some momentum on the Deadlock channel and, entering the Deadlock space. So I want to keep that momentum going.
Sure.
But as for what's next, I'm going to continue streaming. I'm going to keep the Deadlock channel rolling because I'm incredibly passionate about that game in a way that I have not felt like any other game since Destiny.
Wow.
It's like, it is so weird to have a genuine passion for something that is not Destiny after it being Destiny for so long.
Sure.
So that's why I've been putting so much time and effort into it. I'm already like 800 hours deep in that game. And it's still like literally in development. So I want to keep that momentum rolling. I'm working on another like side project of mine that is more of a like creative exercise for me to see like, can I do something a little different? Am I just gonna be playing video games all the time? Can I try to do something a little different? That thing is still a few months out, so I'm not really like talking about specifics yet because I don't want to receive the dopamine hit of being like, I'm doing this, and then my brain acts as if I've already done it. So I'm keeping that one close to the chest. And then otherwise, it's just kind of keeping on, trying to establish a new foothold in a new place, in a new space. Seeing what if I have what it takes to be a player somewhere else. And I like streaming. I like content creation. This past like 6 months has shown me that I do genuinely really enjoy streaming. I was just burnt out on Destiny, and I was burnt out on the same discussions happening over and over and over. And I was burnt out on every stream just being like a eulogy all the time and talking about the same 4 subjects. And now that I've got like a taste of the outside, I've loved streaming. This is the most I've loved streaming in my entire career by a long shot.
Wow.
And I'm feeling incredibly revitalized. I'm feeling energetic. I'm feeling passionate again about stuff. And I haven't felt like that in a while. It's been a while since I felt like that. So it's been very refreshing. It has been very refreshing. And again, on top of like getting some closure and like having some relief about what the future is or is, I guess, is not going to hold.
Sure.
And just being able to make a play now for myself, knowing there's no more fog of war. There's no more teetering on the cliff. You know, I can make some more informed decisions. And you know, there's been some grief, there's been some relief. But yeah, I'm gonna keep on doing this as long as people are still willing to watch, as long as it's still paying some bills. And you know, if it stops paying the bills, maybe I'll go work for the Knicks. I don't know.
There you go. This is my final question for you. I asked months ago at this point, I asked Llama, I said, do you want a D3 if it even means you would never play it? Mm-hmm. Like, do you want it to exist? Now, the future that you just laid out, the projects, the world you're going into, the closure that you feel.
Yeah.
Does Datto do D3 if that comes out 4, 5, 6 years from now?
Would I play Destiny 3? Absolutely, I would. 100%. If they came out and said, we're making Destiny 3, bet I'm playing that game. Am I resuming the mantle? Am I going to come back as Datto does Destiny in the way that people know me now? If you're asking me that question right now, I would say the answer is no. Because I don't know what I'm eating for dinner tonight.
Sure.
You want me to figure out where I'm going to be 6 years from now?
Yeah.
Ain't, brother. Ain't no way.
Yeah.
I could be, maybe Deadlock pops off and my Deadlock channel's popping and I'm loving that. I could just be still doing Deadlock content. Maybe my side project pops off and I'm really liking doing that. I'm going to stick with the side project. Maybe both of those have collapsed and I've completely exited content creation altogether and I'm just doing something else and I really like it and I'm happy where I am. I think there's always a possibility that I would resume the mantle, but I think it would be more along the lines of like, things have not gone so great for me, and I want to see if I can resume my career as a Destiny creator. But I think I would only do it if I ended up playing Destiny 3 and I ended up being really passionate about it again. Because if I was not passionate about it, I don't think I would, because I've known what it's like to make content when you're not passionate about something and it's really not enjoyable as a job. It's really not. So am I playing it? Absolutely. Yeah. I would play it 100%. Beyond that, it completely depends on where I am in life. Completely depends.
And it almost seems like that, not to foreshadow or not to put you in a box someday down the line, but it almost seems like it would be better for your current plans if you were not in a place to want to resume and pick up your Destiny.
I kind of feel like that. Yeah. I think if you do see me return to Destiny YouTube content, one of two things happened. Number one, I fell in love with Destiny again, and I became incredibly passionate about content creation for the game, and I'm really loving it. Or my life did not turn out great after Destiny 2 ended, and I'm looking to make a comeback to see if I can make something happen again. I think those are the two circumstances that you see me returning to Destiny 3.
Well, let's all hope for the former there, or just enjoying it as an individual. So, well, Datto, thank you very much, man. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate you. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out for more than 2 hours now. Appreciate you for this conversation. Like I said at the top, if you enjoy these conversations, please consider liking, subscribing, whatever positive review you can here on the channel. For Sax, Datto, and Brim, be blessed, y'all.